Ricardo.
Yep. Reproducible and user-controlled package management with GNU Guix is a topic. Reproducible is a very vague term, so I'd like to define it a bit. At least the subset that I'm interested in is reproducible builds. That is, you have source code and you compile it on Monday, and you compile it again on Friday, and it's still the same. It's exactly bit identical. That's reproducible builds, very obvious and very difficult to achieve. The next is keeping the stack, the whole environment, the whole software profile constant. So if a system administrator decides to upgrade something in the background, I don't want my software to change. I want it to be the same week after week until I decide to change it. The third thing reproducibility means to me is being able to rebuild the environment on a different machine. This also includes sharing with other people. Reproducibility in itself is not, it's not a goal unto itself. We do this because of reproducible science. We want to enable reproducible science. And science, just the first step of this is that you've got to set up an environment that is equivalent to what somebody else has done. Then you can experiment with that, explore. So exploration has to be cheap. The steps after reproducing the environment are just as important as reproducing it in itself. You want to be able to change the individual parts and see what effect they have on the performance of the system. There shouldn't be any black boxes, so we're not interested in non-free software, for example. There is no reproducibility when you've got black boxes. And there are lots of approaches to get closer to the holy grail of reproducibility. And one thing that the GNU Guix project is proposing is that functional packaging might be a reasonable way to do that. Functional does not mean usable, it means like a pure function. As we treat the build process as if it were a function that takes inputs and always produces the same output. If you change the inputs, no matter how much of it you change, the output changes, right? In this case, we've got a function that's like configure, make, install, right? And it takes inputs, the header files, the source code, the build tools and whatever, libraries, and it produces a package. In this case, Emacs. Emacs is great. If you change any of that, any of the build tools, the libraries, or whatever, that will be a different thing. It doesn't matter that it's the same version, right? If you traverse, or if you substitute every package with a function like that, you recurse through the whole graph of package dependencies, and eventually you will have the whole directed acyclic graph of your software environment. And since this is all free software, you can poke at each little bit of it and change whatever you want. GNU Guix is a command line tool that users can run as unprivileged users. Communicate with the build daemon that runs as root that performs builds on behalf of the user in isolated environments, so we get close to bit reproducibility because the environment is exactly the same each time, where only declared inputs are available. Nothing else, no global state affects anything. The stuff that is built is then cached in a store where you can have all the different variants of the Emacs or samples or what have you. Users then build profiles out of components of the store. It's pick and choose, really. But here, this is my profile. It points to a symlink that points to a version of my current profile. That again points to a profile in the store. That is really just a collection of symlinks to other store items. This allows me to trivially roll back to previous versions because nothing ever is deleted. You see, I've got two versions of the profile. One has sound tools and bow tie. The second version of my profile, or 43rd version of my profile, only has sound tools. So I remove bow tie, yet the previous profile is still there. Changing back to the previous version just means rolling back to, well, changing a symlink really. It's trivial. Learn more about GNU Guix. It's currently used where I work in bioinformatics on 2 clusters with 250 nodes. It's great.
Question for Ricardo?
Yes.
What's essentially the difference between Koji and CodeBuilder, for instance, to your system?
I don't know that.
That's the thing for Fedora. Maybe essentially the same thing that you're doing. CodeBuilder is a Debian thing.
Okay.
trying to build, and together with the whole package manager, to help.
Does it capture the whole graph?
Yeah, that's
Down to
distributed.
which
The other problem I see, we have not the tag. We have loops in software development.
we can discuss this.